What's up, race fans? If you don't know it by now, I'm Jordan Allen, and this is JRM 360. Driving the number 7 car this weekend at Watkins Glen is none other than Jimmie Johnson, and I want to go talk to his crew chief. Joined here with Chris Heroy, going to be the crew chief this weekend for the number 7 car and driver of Jimmie Johnson. After this weekend, Jimmie Johnson will be the second driver you've worked with. Who's the first?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And how'd that go?
It went pretty well, knock on wood. We had 2 top 5s, and we're in it to win it at the end, so feel good about it.
Is this all your only crew chiefing experience you have?
Yeah, you're looking at it.
Where does that qualify you to be able to crew chief 5-time champion Jimmie Johnson?
Because they asked me to.
Who asked you?
JRM, Tony, all those, Dale.
They personally put it on you to make Jimmie Johnson a race winner in Watkins Glen.
Yeah, they did. And I checked some stats on Jimmy, and he hasn't finished in the top 20 yet, so that's what I'm shooting for.
Do you think you're the Chad Knaus of the future?
No one can ever be the Chad, I could be the Chris of the future, maybe.
Now, one day people are going to look at you and go, man, that Chris Heroy, I wonder what he's doing. I want to be like him.
Lord, I hope not. We'll see.
Why not?
Jordan, don't get personal.
Do you think that if you finish top 5, or I think you could even win the race with Jimmie, that'll put a little thorn in Chad's side?
Oh, I highly doubt that. All Chad has to do is look at the 5 little wavy flag trophies that he has sitting on his shelf to not worry about a top 5 in the nationwide series.
But that'll be one thing that you have done that Chad Knaus has not, and that's win a race at Watkins Glen with Jimmie Johnson.
I got a sweet beard and named Chris, and he doesn't have his name Chad, so it's like everybody's different, Jordan. Don't rush it.
What I want to know is, okay, it's Jimmie Johnson. Do you just get the car close and just, yeah, man, you'll make up the rest?
Yeah, I mean, it's Jimmie, so yeah, our expectations are really high.
One lap in practice, and he's going to get out and say, yeah, it's good.
If he says it's good, it's good. I'm not going to be like, no, Jimmie, can you run a couple more? It's going to be like, okay, thank you, James. You can go back to your 5 championships now.
Now, a lot of people don't know that your nickname is Sunshine. Where does that nickname come from?
It comes from some guys at the shop here, Jeff Torrance and Daryl McDonald. I moved here from California about 6 years ago. I'm from Indiana, but I lived out there for a while, and I had, longer hair, was kind of blonde, whatever. And I walked in, and remember the Titans had just come out with Denzel Washington, and I walk in the door, and they're just like, Sunshine, like in the movie. So from there on, I was Sunshine. There's no avoid that.
I'd have gone more with Alan from The Hangover compared to Sunshine from...
I get a lot of that. On vacation at breakfast, some kids came up to me, and they were like, hey, can we get your picture, man? And I was like, sure, you mind if I bow up for it,
What do you think Chad Knaus is doing wrong that is keeping Jimmie Johnson from winning at Watkins Glen?
Nothing. He's fine.
He doesn't have you.
No comment. I knew I'd have to go to the Fifth Amendment on this at some point.
Joined here with Chad Knaus, crew chief of number 48. Chad, I just got a couple questions for you. What's your take on Chris Heroy being the crew chief this weekend in the nationwide car? How would you feel that if Chris outran you and won the race with that nationwide car and Jimmie at Watkins Glen? Nothing? You got nothing? Man, a few words. Chad Knaus. This week's question was submitted by Kelly. She wanted to know, is there any embarrassing stories about me after I spent the past few weeks embarrassing everybody else? For help with this, I installed Steven Steffen.
Well, that's a pretty good question, Kelly. Let me see here. I got a list. Let's see. The $25,000 lug nuts.
Not my fault.
Gas in the eye at Kansas. Pops firing you like 8 different times during the race.
My favorite was the lug nuts.
Yeah, that was pretty smart, actually.
Once again, not my fault. Just doing what I was told, but I was the one that got caught.
Yep, cost the company $25 grand.
$500 a lug nut. And that'll do it for this week's episode of JRM 360. Be sure to keep sending in your emails to jrm360@jrmracing.com to have your questions answered.